Hello and welcome to another edition of 10 for 10. 10 sports topics with the News 10 team. I'm Griffin Haas. He is sports director, Tommy Valentine. I don't know if we've done a show.
We did. Brian and I did the announcement last week.
Right. I don't know if I've done a show.
You personally have not been able to. Yeah.
So congratulations.
So thank you.
Maybe now we want to congratulate him. He's what-ifing me.
I don't want to make too big a deal. We talked about it last week.
I wasn't going to do an official announcement, but I got to congratulate you. I know I've congratulated you off air. But
thanks, Griff. Appreciate it.
Never makes it easy, this guy. No, he's great. We're going to start with the World Cup, putting a bow on it. Spain takes down Argentina 1-0. Now, was it like an interesting game at the end? Sure. For people who are not like the biggest like hardcore soccer fans like myself, kind of a drag for most of it.
A little bit.
When Argentina doesn't have a shot on goal until, I mean, I don't even know what their first shot was. They didn't have a shot on goal, but they have a shot.
I don't think so.
No, they did. They had that one in front that sailed over.
Okay.
So I think they had one shot the entire game.
Which is absurd.
2 shots.
That was it?
Yep. So that's a drag. So you don't really get to see Messi do his thing. And again, it's credit to Spain because they were clearly the best team.
Defense.
Their defense is incredible. And that's kind of what they do. And they just kind of, choke teams defensively and don't let them get any space. So that's their style of play. But boy, was it boring to watch for most of it. Now, in the second half and then extra time, it was exciting because you're like, when's the goal going to come? Game winner. Argentina, can they survive they get the red card? Can they survive to penalty kicks and somehow steal this game? You knew they probably weren't going to score, outside of penalty kicks. Yeah. So just kind of the tournament was great. The World Cup was great. There were a lot of great moments. But that was not the most fun for the, I would say, casual fan or just observer.
Yeah, especially because I don't think a 1-0 final that doesn't represent how lopsided. Spain was clearly the better team, absolutely dominated them, and the fact that it got to 1-0, it's when Spain is, everybody knows, everybody's seen it play out. Spain is clearly the better team. It's when is it gonna drop? And that was kind of the frustrating part. It's why are we continuing to drag this out? And I guess that is kind of the fun part. It's okay, maybe Argentina could get lucky and they could, earn a penalty kick if that's how they get the lead. And that their goalkeeper was phenomenal. I mean, he made some tremendous saves in that game.
Well, that's what I was going to say too. That was one of the fun parts to watch. Emiliano Martinez made 11 saves.
Yeah,
which
World Cup record.
World Cup record,
yep,
yeah.
World Cup final record.
Yeah. So he was unbelievable and was keeping them in the game and was the only reason you thought maybe they can just keep this going until
Messi got a look or something. Yeah, penalty kicks. But, it was a little frustrating just because, again, Spain was so dominant. It's like they deserve to win this game. It's when is it going to happen? And then finally it did. And it was the goal from Torres was spectacular, but for that game to end 1-0, it was just.
It was, but it was also even that was anticlimactic because the only fun part of that would have been one a really crazy goal by Spain or Argentina starting to pull it out because at that point it was well, we all know Spain's going to win this game for the it's just when. So when they did, it was just kind of
finally.
Yeah, they're going to win this game, yeah. And they deserve it. So, it's...
Yeah, the best team won the tournament, which is
And Argentina
important.
kind of acted like babies after the game a little bit. So that was, you kind of were walked away all right, I'm kind of glad they lost after that. But, it was not the most exhilarating. The most exciting part of the game was watching Argentina's goalie and just how...
Yeah.
And watch him stand on his head. And again, soccer purists will probably push back on this. I just think if it was a 0-0 game where both goalies were making a lot of saves and it was just kind of a wild game.
Yeah, a defense.
It's not I'm saying this game has to be 5-4 to be interesting.
Sure.
I'm not trying to be, American football. We need high scoring, blah, blah, blah. I'm not trying to be like that, although it would be more interesting. It's just the dominance. Watching a dominant 0-0 soccer game is not the most fun.
Yeah.
The halftime show was interesting. I kind of nodded off during a little bit of it.
Full disclosure, I didn't watch any of it.
Yeah, but that was something. Shout out Shakira, Justin Bieber playing a very, very slow song during the World Cup final was an interesting choice. Shout out Biebs. But yeah, when you look back on the World Cup tournament, I think you could say that the best team won.
Mm-hmm.
But I already said this. I think it was me and Brian, as a fan of the U.S. and watching their team. It ended up being kind of anticlimactic, even though there were some good moments along the way, because you had some good wins over maybe not the best teams, and then you finally played a good team in a place where they should have been. It's not like they went farther than expected.
Yeah.
They should have been there. And then for the performance that they had. So it's like everybody got really excited and bought in.
Yeah, that took
and
a
then
little
kind
of
of had the
steam
wind
out.
taken out of their sails. And then, to then have a 1-0 final. I don't know how. And a part of it is being here, which was really cool to see it in our stadiums. Even though MetLife Stadium, not good. I'm just going to say it. For soccer, it might have been great. Great to see that they can play with grass fields there.
Yeah, how about that?
Would be nice if the NFL teams would
Carry
do
that over?
Just a soulless stadium. Because they built it to be, this could be the Jets or the Giants. We just have to move some stuff around. Just no character. That's another time.
It's another topic.
It's another topic for another time. It was cool seeing it in our stadiums. It was cool having it here, and I think that's what fed the excitement. And it seems like we might be getting it again in like 12 years, I've heard. So it might be coming back, which would be awesome. But I think next time around, I think American soccer fans will probably not be quite as excited as they were for this one for a multitude of reasons.
Yeah,
the team let them down, and then also won't be here.
For sure, and that kind of took the steam out of it for me. But I will say, once the U.S. lost, I thought those quarterfinal games and
fantastic
semifinal games were so good that they kept my interest. It's like, again, France and Spain being a tremendous matchup. That England-Argentina game was exciting. Of course, England-Norway even before that. So I think the teams proved to be so, I wanted to see what was going to happen with Mbappe and France. I wanted to see what was going to happen with Messi and Argentina. I wanted to see how Spain and England factored in. So it was interesting to see how it played out.
I'm talking more about like my mom was excited to watch the World Cup games. She would never watch the World Cup.
Same here.
But me and you are big sports fans. That's why we have this podcast right now. That's why we're talking 10 sports topics every week. I think that you could put on a good ping pong match, and we would probably be interested in it if you're like, hey, check out this ping pong match.
But I'm not a soccer guy, and I still found myself watching those games.
I'm not either, but when there's sport on the biggest stage and there are great games.
It's a tournament I'm a sucker for a good tournament format.
It's a testament to the games, too. The games were fantastic. But I don't think that, your mom or my mom are walking away and being like, man,
what a game.
What a game that was.
No, I get that.
Did you see that England game?
I get that.
It's like they wanted to watch the U.S., and then they kind of just came up short in the worst possible way.
Yeah.
But again, not to poo-poo. This is a great tournament. It was a great World Cup. The games were fantastic. It was cool to see it here. Not expecting the U.S. to go out and win it. Just would have been nice to see them put on a little bit of a showing. And then it would have been nice to see the World Cup final have a little bit extra juice to it.
Yeah.
And not be so dominant. But that's a testament to Spain. So you got to give it up to them.
It was kind of almost like, and I hope I'm remembering the right tournament, it was almost like UConn from those championship years where it's like they played some really good games in the round, like the Sweet 16 and then the Elite 8, and then they got to the national championship in game. And I know one year they played against Purdue. I think the other one was San Diego State, and you're so excited. It's like, okay, we finally get to see this team on the stage, and they just dominated. And it was just like, oh, that's how it ends.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it was kind of like that for me. It was, and it was just like, okay, Spain deserved to win that game. They proved it. It was kind of like, oh, okay, it's over. So a little bit of a letdown, I guess. You're right in that capacity.
And like you said, it's over. So we just put a bow on that.
It is.
Until we meet again, World Cup. We're talking baseball after the break. All right, now we're talking baseball, and we're going to start with a topic I know Tommy's thrilled about.
Yes. So happy
The Red
for them.
Sox back.
No, they are. They are.
Thomas.
It was just a begrudging
15 wins in a row.
Unbelievable.
Obviously, that streak, we're recording this on Thursday. I don't think any of our teams played tonight. Mets,
Nope.
Yankees, no. Red Sox. So we don't have to worry about what happens tonight. They did lose the second game of the doubleheader, but they match a franchise record for wins in a row, 15. This was a team that, Brian and I have talked about a lot here on 10 for 10 in terms of they were so bad, but the American League was so bad that it was like all they need to do is make a run.
Sure.
Now, we're not talking about 15 wins in a row. We're talking about like
Couple
7
here,
wins in
couple
a
there,
row would get you like back into the thick of it. Well, they rattled off 15 in a row to the point where they are now the third wild card team with a 2-game cushion over the Seattle Mariners. And obviously, again, it is early. We've criticized Breslow a lot. Some of those things are still deserved. Let's not get out of great streak. They are still 3 games over 500 when you look at the total picture of what's going on. So that doesn't mean they won 15 in a row. Boy, did they handle the Devers situation well. But you also got to give a tip of the cap because they have been playing in the image, I think, of how he wanted them to play.
Yep.
Now, they've been scoring more runs of late, but the pitching's been fantastic.
Defense is good.
The defense has been good. And they are now, not only back in the wild card, but they are in the division picture.
Absolutely.
They're 7 games back of Tampa.
Who they just swept in 4 games.
So never would we have talked about them being back in the division because at that point, it's like the Yankees, Judge wasn't hurt, and they were playing really well, and Tampa was playing, obviously, incredibly. So it was never going to be like, they can get back in the division. Now it's like 7 games on July 23rd is by no means, they're by no means out of it.
Yeah.
So it is, are you nervous as a Yankee fan?
I almost think it is not to the degree maybe of the Yankees' June swoon, but I think it is a little bit like it just felt almost random. It does concern me that they did so much of this without big pieces. Ranger Suarez will be coming back soon. Roman Anthony's going to come back at some point. Is he
still out? I'm going to also give myself a buffer here. I've been away for a couple of days, and I was not locked in on sports. So
he was supposed to start the second game of the doubleheader, and they pushed him back because.
Okay, so he's supposed to be back in their next game,
theoretically, very soon. Yes.
Okay.
So that portion of it concerns me. I also feel like, how well is Wilson Contreras going to keep this up?
He's been. I'm glad you said that because I'll let you finish that point, but pause real quick. If we're talking about Breslow moves that worked out.
God.
Wilson Contreras has been amazing.
Incredible.
And it's crazy, and we'll talk about this team a little bit later, but it's crazy. It's like, man, there were guys who have played first base on the market. It would have been wild for the Mets to go get one of those guys.
How about that?
Wilson Contreras was a guy that Mets fans really wanted. Yeah, Jorge Polanco, who now can't play the field. Brett Beatty, Mark Vientos, Jared Young. Luis Torrens was playing first base last night off the bench. Anyway.
But yeah, the point was that it was kind of like the Yankees when they got hot, when Aaron Judge went down. It's like, eventually they're going to come back to reality. But at the same token, it's like there's so many guys out for the Red Sox. Again, Suarez, Anthony, and not for nothing, like IKF and Marcelo Meyer. And they somehow still piece this thing together to win 15 straight games, and it's like, now maybe like Caleb Durbin is settled in, and he's going to start hitting really well. And, Masataka's settled in. It's like, now these guys have been...
Well, they found a piece with a Siegler guy.
Yeah.
And just guys who are not...
And Sung-Chae Chang has played great defensively. It's like, now all of a sudden, these guys have built... It felt like when the Yankees were hot without Judge, it was like, they're just peaking right now. With this team, it's like they're finding ways to win, and I feel like because they've done that, when the other pieces come back, they'll be able to maintain that. And when they do have to go to a Cheng or a Monastery off the bench, like those guys will be prepared. So
and the other
concerning
that
for me.
Yeah, for you, not for the Red Sox.
Not for Brian and the rest of Red Sox Nation.
Yeah, I think that you touched on it too, where like some of these guys are playing over their skis a little bit in terms of like, guys we've never heard of. Who knows? Maybe they start making names for themselves. Some of these guys are going to be playing over their skis a little bit. Wilson Contreras is playing unbelievably.
Yeah.
But like Caleb Durbin was also during their losing streak playing so far below what he's capable of. And
Duran and
I like, even though he was so bad and like he has a small sample size, he could have been just bad. Turns out he's probably not that bad.
No.
So now he's playing at what he at a level that he's capable of. They're going to get guys back, and then you just mentioned him, but Duran is still not playing, as well as he probably could be. Was he still below
190 still?
Yeah, he's still below 200. So like maybe he's just bad this year. Maybe that's the case, but probably more likely he's going to be a little bit better than he is, than he's been. And then again, when you look at it on the other side of it, it's like the things that probably aren't going to change are the pitching and the defense.
Yeah.
So like finding a guy like Jake Bennett, who's now 6-3 with an ERA under 3, and obviously Sonny Gray, your buddy,
he's been so good.
has been great, and Connolly early, and Suarez, who's been in and out of the rotation with injury, but when he's pitched, he's been great.
Been phenomenal.
And then obviously they Chapman at the back end, like they just.
The bullpen's gotten progressively better.
Yeah, like they just kind of find guys. And what is Garrett Crochet out for the season?
Yeah,
he is, right?
There was talk that he could potentially come back, and I don't know if this recent win streak is going to maybe accelerate that a little bit.
A day ago, Crochet said Tuesday that he and the Red Sox training staff have no timeline in mind for when he will be cleared to restart his throwing program. Yeah. So that doesn't sound good. So you're not going to get him back. So I was going to say, if you could get him back, then all of a sudden you're really cooking. But even without him, they found guys, Peyton Tolley, like just these dudes that come in and are just shoving. So I think they're not going to be 15 win streak good. No. I don't think they're one of the best teams in the American League. But in a very weak American League, they might be one of the best teams.
No, I mean, if you
American League, that's how bad the American League is.
If you can get into a series where you can roll out Sonny Gray, well, again, I'd actually prefer that because if he gets to the postseason, he crumbles. But that's neither here nor there.
We'll get to that.
Ranger Suarez, and you can roll out Ranger Suarez, and you can roll out Connolly early, who went relatively toe to toe with Cam Schlittler. Like that's a pretty dangerous team when you get to October.
If you get into the postseason, if you have pitching,
like
the power hitting teams, we've seen it with your buddies, the Yankees.
And they are hitting. They hit the ball. Yeah. That's why they're concerned. They're not just a boom or bust team like the Yankees.
No,
like they've
put
strung
the ball in
together
play.
hits.
That's
they're scrappy. And it is funny. It's one of the most, and obviously the Indians won, or I'm sorry, the Guardians, when they were the Indians, won 22 in a row that 2017 season. Like, I remember that relatively well. It's one of the most incredible, I think, win streaks I've ever seen.
Just out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. And it's funny, I think I hearken to my favorite sports movie of all time, Moneyball. And there's a great scene when they're winning the 20 games in a row.
I hear about Moneyball one more time.
But there is a great scene from where Bob Costas is talking, and it's actually him. And he says there's an element of randomness with this, where it's like if you play these games, all over again, there's no way they're doing it. With this team, there's no reason to think that this would have ever happened.
I think that this is the most, and you're going to be like, well, duh, until I finish the point. It's probably just barely, though, the first most shocking streak this year, and that's only because the Mets lost 12 in a row. But you got to smile. You got to laugh. The Knicks are NBA champions.
It always brings you back.
Yep. No, I mean, but when you, I laughed when I was like, it's like, oh, they might be I said they're not one of the best teams in the American League. And it's like, well, maybe they are. They would be leading the West.
Yeah.
Because the Rangers are the top team in the West. They're 500. The White Sox have a 535 win percentage. The Red Sox have a 515. So, they would be right on the heels of the Central. Right now, record-wise, what are they? 1, 2, 3, 4 teams are better than them right now. So, and now they're playing well. They played so bad. So, there's no team outside of There's really no team that I would say if they got into a 7-game series with right now that I'd be like, they got no shot.
Oh, absolutely. No,
and that's baseball too, part of it. But like, or a 3-game, whatever it is with the wild card, because they'll have those pitchers up front. It's like and obviously if it's the Yankees, it's like throw everything out the window. But like the Rays would maybe give them trouble, but they just swept them. So like,
there's no team in the AL, not even close, that I'm stamping and saying AL
you
champions.
could tell me like 7 teams could win the American League.
Yeah.
I would say
you could make an argument.
The Rays, the Yankees, the Red Sox.
Yep.
You can't say the Orioles because they're so bad, but obviously they had so much talent if they could somehow get it together.
Yeah.
But we're not going to say them. Blue Jays, shockingly bad. You have to say the White Sox, I guess, at this point.
You do.
So that's 4. The Guardians, I mean, I know what you think about the Guardians, and they choke in the postseason.
Count them out.
5. We're done with the Central. The Rangers, could with DeGrom and some of the, if they got in, 6.
Baldy's a dog in the postseason.
Mariners 7, and I certainly wouldn't rule out the Astros if they got in.
No.
So that's 8 teams that could win the American League. So I shorted one.
Yeah.
Where the National League is very top heavy.
Absolutely.
So it's wide open. And the other thing I'll say is the one other thing that they can even still improve upon is, which they've started to, is playing at home.
Yeah.
They're still 5 games under 500 at Fenway Park, which is still inexcusable. And it was worse than that.
And which this win streak could flip, because I imagine these fans are walking into Fenway and they're seeing the product that's being put on the field, and that's not really giving them a lot of juice. I mean, that place has been hopping since this win streak has started, so maybe they start to get a little bit of that home mojo back.
I think they're one of, I'm doing the math, I'm doing it in my head right now, but they are one of 2 teams that are above 500 that are under 500 at home, which makes sense, but it's shocking. Like, the Nationals are the other. The Nationals are 1 game over 500. They're 11 games under at home, which is wild.
Yeah, that's good.
But the Red Sox also have their park has a competitive advantage to knowing the
dimensions and everything.
The dimensions and how you played it off the wall, and okay, I want to hit it to the toward the pesky pole, a short port. There are advantages that you could build your team to be able to play there. Mm-hmm. So you would think that they would be
always
able
have
to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So if they can even get back to playing, if they get that number above 500, which they should, that means that there are a lot more wins to be had.
Yeah.
So if I were you, I'd be nervous.
I'm a little bit. And I do want to say one more thing just about how it's special, just as a baseball fan, how cool this was. You look at that 1946 team that had the record, and you've got 2 Hall of Famers in Bobby Doerr and Ted Williams, a guy who was consistently hitting 200 hits a year in Johnny Pesky. And then it's you look at this current Red Sox team, and it's Wilson Contreras could still, obviously, Aroldis Chapman's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but it's you look at the day-to-day guys who have been putting this together every single day for them, it makes no sense. Caleb Durbin and Jaron Duran, Cedon Rafaela, no disrespect to them, great players in their own right, but future Hall of Famers, probably not. Mm-hmm. And still, they put together 15 wins in a row. It makes no sense.
You ever hear of this Ted Williams guy?
Yeah, he was pretty good.
We used to, this is a detour I'm about to take. I took a coaching baseball class at Ithaca College. I took coaching baseball and coaching lacrosse. Now, was it because I love sports? Yes. Was it also because it seemed like it was going to be an easy class? Maybe.
Why not? Win-win.
I wanted to know the game. Now, the coaching lacrosse class was the easiest class I ever took. We would watch film, and then we would go out and just play lacrosse.
That's great.
Awesome. Coaching baseball was one of the hardest classes I've ever taken. I will call my friend Dan Budick. We were talking about this the other day. We had to draw diagrams on where to hit the cutoff man, where this ball's hit here, there's this many outs, draw them up. We had a 100-question test. Oof. And let me tell you, we weren't taught most of what was in there. But shout out George Valcente. He was the baseball coach. He was a legend. And he would just he would always ask us Jose Altuve was the best. He was hitting, it was the year he was hitting 340 or whatever. He's you guys ever hear this Jose Altuve guy? We're yes, he's the best player in baseball. Yeah. Or he'd be you guys probably don't even, what do you guys even heard of this Babe Ruth? Yes, we've heard of Babe Ruth. We're not morons. We like baseball. That's why we're here. So that's why I always, you ever hear of this Ted Williams guy? So shout out George Valcente. All right, moving on.
My area of expertise.
So we're moving on to the Yankees. And listen, a lot of that kind of talk we kind of danced around them. they have, I think, just kind of pitter-pattered, as we were mentioning.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do the math of when you guys were back, because obviously I was off last week.
Yeah,
so.
since we've been back, they had an abysmal series against the Dodgers, and then he pulled 2 out of 3 against the Pirates, which is like, okay.
You should be taking 2 out of 3 against the Pirates. Well, the Pirates
Ideally at home, Pirates are good, but
they're fine.
I should be able to pencil in, no doubt, 2 out of 3.
And was Freet's first game back against the Pirates?
Yep, first time since May, and he looked great. So that was easily the most encouraging thing to come out of that series. It's just, I don't know. It's just the
lineup is just not.
The lineup is not where it needs to be, and it's like they do things that's like okay. Like I'm like excited. Obviously, they take 2 out of 3 from the Pirates, but the lows are so low. And I referenced that first game of the Dodgers series when we're up 1-0, and Garrett Cole is pitching a gem, and I understand he's your ace, and you need to give him quote unquote ace. He's the most veteran guy. He's the guy who deserves the most leeway and the most benefit
probably
of the doubt.
Freed now, but yeah.
I have Freed, and even Schlittler, I would say, is quote unquote ace. But like again, he's a guy who commands respect, and who deserves to have leeway. The fact that he was not taken out of that game, I was sitting there with Brian. It was 1-0. Max Muncy, he walks Mookie Betts to start the 7th.
A guy
inning.
coming off Tommy John who's not been pitching very much.
Yes, who's already at 96 pitches. Walks the first guy of the inning, and then you have him go righty-lefty with Max Muncy. I sat there, Griff. I told Brian, I'm like, get ready. Max Muncy is hitting a 2-run home run.
Max Muncy is just like one of the. He just always
annoying.
It's
always the worst time. Like he'll go.
You're afraid of Ohtani. You're afraid of Mookie Betts.
Yep.
And then you get Muncy.
It's always when you get through those guys, and it's like, all right, we're doing well, and then Muncy hits
you.
It's
a 3-run homer with 2 outs, and you're like,
he'll go 0 for 3 throughout the game with 3 strikeouts. He'll be on like a 1 for 12 streak or whatever it is, 1 for 20 streak, and then all of a sudden, when you need him to get an out,
tip of the
he
cap
hits
to
a
Max
home
Muncy.
run. He's a great player. But he gets up there, and I told Brian, I said, he's hitting a 2-run home run, and sure enough, absolutely demolishes the ball. And the game's over. I mean, obviously, there's 3 more innings, but you felt like the game was over. It's like, that was our chance.
Especially with again, the struggles
of the offense.
The lineup. You're not trusting.
And you're getting the Dodgers back-end bullpen. So it was like that moment. It's like, seriously, like that's how we come out of the All-Star break. We got that momentum going from the 4-game win streak. You know, not that it means a ton, but like Bellinger wins the All-Star game MVP. Rice has a big hit. It's like, all right, here we go again. And then that just bomb gets dropped on us first game of the Dodgers series. And it was also flashbacks of how egregiously they lost in the World Series, because that was the first time the Dodgers had come to Yankee Stadium since the World Series, and it was like, oh yeah, and it reminded me of that, and that also stunk.
Can we take another quick detour here for a second?
Sure.
While we're on this, can you join me in your distaste, or at least Homer-ism accusations of Joe Davis? Did you see that call where he was like, this is the difference between the attention to detail.
Oh
these
yeah,
two teams.
no, he definitely, yeah.
And
I'm on that
because
camp
I
with
know
you. It was glaring.
I know. What
earlier in the year with that Mets
Mets
series
when he was like, "Oh no,
the Mets. Yeah.
during a game."
Yeah,
Joe Davis,
a great broadcaster, but certainly.
But like now, it's starting to get to like, are you if you can't separate that, and also like. You do the World Series, and then I don't know.
I feel like it's got to be so hard to separate. Obviously, the greats do,
but you know what, Mike Breen, he does the Knicks NBA, and obviously he's admittedly like, I'm pretty excited to do the Knicks games, but if you turned on the game and watched the game, you'd have no idea.
Sure.
If you turn on Joe Davis during the World Series and you saw it with
Yeah.
your team, you would have an idea like this guy, because I hate that when it's usually thrown around with announcers. Like Joe Buck used to get that all the time. I never thought Joe Buck, like whether you like him or not, was like showing bias one way or the other.
Yeah, he always seemed pretty impartial.
But anyway, now we're on a commentator rant. So yeah, Dodger series.
Yeah, just go absolutely flat in the second game, and they managed to pull out the third one. It's like, okay, great. It's the second game of I don't know. I always feel like the second game of a doubleheader. It's like doesn't mean much because teams are just kind of like piece it together. It's like you're not throwing your best punches. Like if I felt like we got one from the Dodgers, I'd have felt better.
You have to manage them. And I know it ended up working out, but I know Boone was criticized in the first game for throwing a lot of the Pirates doubleheader, for throwing a lot of higher leverage guys. But it's hard because you never know. It's like this could be our chance to get one, then we'll piece it together later.
I didn't have as much of a problem with that one.
No,
but
I don't either.
It was just another great Garrett
It just
Cole
shows it's
start
hard
wasted.
to manage those. Of like you don't know what the second game's going to look like.
But for the most part, we're still 12 games above 500. I'm feeling good. It was just get an absolute gut punch out of the gate with that Dodgers series, and then to lose so abysmally in the second game. It was kind of like I just felt left that series like, okay, this is what's going to happen in the World Series. If we, God forbid,
They're
we
not
get
good
matched
enough.
up
They're
with
not
them,
good enough to win a World Series
they
right
won't
now.
beat them,
As
no.
presently constituted, I think it's safe to say that they might get there, but there are a couple of teams in the National League that are a level above them.
And they have to have a big deadline.
So that's the thing. And it's like I feel like it's like Groundhog Day with the Yankees, where it's like the same thing every week.
Yep.
Where luckily they're not bottoming out.
No.
So that's the good thing. They're not like they're
piecing it together without Judge.
They're piecing it together, but like they're clearly, even with Judge back, when, or I don't want to say
God
if,
forbid,
but like if he comes back, they will have the pitching, but the lineup, even with him in it, is not good enough.
There's too
So
many
like,
holes.
and I hope that this would show them that like third base is a problem.
Third base is a problem. Catcher is a problem.
Catcher is a massive
I'm
problem.
hoping this stretch has been bad enough to where they're like, okay, no matter what happens, no matter what trade deadline acquisitions in the form of returning guys we have, which is
they
the
will get Stan
usual
back.
excuse.
What's Stan going? Was he?
It was said he was going to be a while, and then Boone was like, no, he's actually doing pretty well.
Then he had to have then he re-injured something. I can't keep up.
It's a nightmare with him.
If I had to keep up with Giancarlo Stan's injuries, that would be a full-time job.
The bottom line is, I think we avoided enough. We've played poorly enough to where they've avoided their usual, like, hey, our guys that we're getting in the second half are going to be like our deadline acquisitions.
Shouldn't be too far off.
Okay, good. I think it is so glaring that there's a lack of catching and third base that they will make moves. And
there's a problem at shortstop. They just don't want to admit it.
No, but they are fortunately giving Caballero more run there than Volpe, so that's exciting.
But that will rear its head at some point.
I hope not. And then
it's going to.
Mason, like the fact that Mason Miller's being thrown around is really exciting. If we could throw him in the back end of the bullpen,
I think
that
would be awesome. But it's also like, what does that cost? And like, how can you spread that out? Because I think that they are multiple arms away in the bullpen.
Yeah.
I think that they are multiple bats away. So it's like, if they just go all in and get Mason Miller, that's not enough.
But it does address the bullpen
100%
problem, and
to an extent,
and it loads up the pitching.
To an extent. And again, a lot of times in the postseason, you are going to see multiple guys back to back to back. So it would be a huge get.
And guys like Weathers and Warren can go to the bullpen.
My fear is just what you've seen with Cashman in years past, where he's not as willing to be aggressive.
Yes.
That's like the one move, and they won't have enough offense.
No, they have to make a relatively big offensive move and a big pitching move. Like one good pitching move will make me happy.
Yes.
Because they do
it
have
can also be, if you want to take
arms.
multiple shots at the bullpen too, and like one has to be pretty significant.
See, I don't like that because we've got a bunch of like good, like solid middle of the road guys like Hedrick's been great, Cruz has been great, Bednar's been great at times. I want a guy that's like, when I throw out there, I'm like, I know he's going to get 3 outs.
The reason I say multiple shots is that a lot of times it's just luck of the draw with bullpen.
Yeah.
You can trade for a big guy like Ryan Helsley, and he could stink.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's the guy who didn't know. Now you can't predict that, but that's why it's like if you take a couple of shots at it, there has to be one like significant piece.
Because Mason Miller hasn't
Luke Weaver, perhaps.
I mean,
he's been unbelievable.
He has, and he's been good on the big stage.
Unbelievable.
And then I guess I do have to be kind of a little apprehensive about Mason Miller because he's pitched for Oakland or the A's, and he's pitched for San Diego. Not too high leverage markets.
He throws such gas
that
I just don't know if it matters. Like as long as he just doesn't stop throwing 102 miles an hour, I think he'll be all right.
Okay. I mean, that was Chapman's MO. And then he came over to the Yankees, and he kind of blew up a little bit.
That's true.
So it's a different beast when you get to New York.
Yeah, but if it works out like they did with Chapman, where they could at one point flip him and then get him back, that would be great.
So true. So, but no, they have to make offensive.
What did you think about Jazz Chisholm saying that everyone's telling him that he's the greatest ever?
He's just so weird.
I saw that. That was one of the things that did cross my timeline while I was away. I think it was while I was away. I was like, I had to watch it like a couple times in a row.
It's clearly got to be an inside, like just inside the clubhouse joke, where it's like you're the best, Jazz, and they just like build him up. Or they're
like, hey, you're Jazz, like keep doing your thing, and he's just like, they tell me I'm the greatest.
I mean, that's what he interprets it as. That would be a very Jazz
or just
thing.
like takes it a little bit too far.
Great player, great second baseman. You cannot think like that highly of yourself when you're hitting 225 and you're sucking on lollipops in the infield.
Wasn't he going to have a 50-50 season this year?
That's what he said.
50 strikeouts.
We're a little off that.
50 groundouts.
50 errors.
He has 16 homers.
Yeah, I mean,
he doesn't have 50.
Well above average second baseman.
And also, he's not like, you need him to play better, which he's capable of.
Yes.
But like, you're not worried about. Like, you're worried about it, but like
least of my concerns right now is second base.
Yeah. Hopefully, though, he could just hit lower in the lineup if you add guys to a third baseman. Like if you added I don't even know what his stats are right now, but like if Matt Chapman's available, you could put him at third base. Like he would be hitting above Jazz, and then you don't need Jazz to be the best ever.
Yeah.
I think put yourself in a position where you don't need Jazz to be the best ever.
Sounds nice.
We should move on in a second, but I had an interesting thought because you said it earlier in terms of who's the ace. Obviously, you have to see how they pitch the rest of the year, but if Fried is freed and he's fully healthy, who would you start in game 1?
Schlittler. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. He has that mindset.
I feel like you have to, but
and I say that because and I'm not concerned about the age or anything like that because he went out in that
but
third
Fried's
game.
also been there before, so that's I guess
he hasn't delivered. I mean, Schlittler had the best postseason performance in recent memory.
But Fried was good with the Braves, right, in the postseason?
He was all right. It was nothing staggering. Like to see what Schlittler did in a massive elimination game 3 last year, as with even less experience, also, you have to throw that out in game 1.
I also think that you're more likely to like go back to him on short rests, where like you can maybe get it like because he's a younger guy, you can maybe squeeze a little bit more out of him. But it's an interesting question. It's a good problem to have, and you have Garrett Cole as your.
I just like a guy going out and.
Where's Carlos Rodon?
He's hurt. 15 day. I'm not super concerned about him right now.
Didn't need to
I want a guy like Schlittler coming out and setting the tone. Like let's buzz 100-mile-an-hour fastball, like and just like go out there and set the tone. You know, like Fried's great, but he's like so crafty. It's like let's just send a guy out there who can just buzz balls by people.
I think
that's a big guy to make a statement in game 1.
In the postseason, Max Fried's 2-6 with an 5.31 ERA.
Yeah.
So. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to have to fly through some of these topics. But you know what? We were talking ball. We'll be right back. Welcome back to 10 for 10. Now we get to talk about the Mets.
That's it.
The New York Knicks are NBA champions. That's right. You know what?
You always got to preface with that.
I'm good. Yeah, still bad. I mean, don't need to really dive into their season as much. They're 17 games under 500. They've started to play somewhat, other than getting swept by the Red Sox, who's not getting swept by the Red Sox right now. They took 2 or 3 from the Phillies. They lost 2 or 3 to the Brewers on the road. The last game of that series was close, and then they have the Dodgers coming in. So, weirdly, though, the Mets have like somewhat played up to their competition. They just don't beat good teams. They don't beat anybody. So, listen, the Mets right now, just so we can put a bow on that, they are 10.5 games out of the wild card behind a host of teams. So, they are going to be selling at the trade deadline. Now, trade deadline date's got to be coming up
August
soon.
2nd, I believe.
August 2nd?
Somewhere around there.
August 3rd.
August 3rd?
Close. So we're coming up on the trade deadline. Now, I wouldn't put it past the Mets because they have finally like gotten, as bad as they've been beat up. They've finally gotten their lineup back to the place that it should be, where you have Ewing and Lindor, who's now starting to hit, and Bichette, with Soto, and then Benj and Polanco, who's just DHing, but like he's in the lineup now. Robert hit a home run the other day. Like Alvarez, the lineup has been legit now, but it's just too late, and they're going to have to sell these pieces, and the pitching is still left some to be desired. Although before I move on to trade deadline, some bright spots. Zach Thornton has been awesome.
Phenomenal.
I think like 13 scoreless innings in a row. His last 2 starts. A guy who can factor into the rotation next year as a young piece. McClain's been pitching better. Christian Scott has been a bright side. Ewing and Benj continue to just be solid young pieces. So like those are the things that you can, and obviously Soto.
Yeah,
he's so good at baseball. He's cooled off and he's still so good. But the trade deadline is going to be very important for the Mets because again, you have pieces that are there. So it's going to be who do you sell? Now, let's get one out of the way. They are not going to trade Francisco Lindor. It's just not going to happen. One, I don't really care about this Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto aren't best friend stuff. Can I just get that out of the way? The 1986 Mets were doing a lot of bad things and trashing planes, getting into fights, both with other teams and with each other. You don't have to. Now, that's not. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be best friends with everybody. Jeter and A-Rod were not best friends. They don't have. You just win. So let's get that out of the way. The personal stuff. One, they're not going to trade him because when he plays well, he's really good, and that is what it is. Two, his value would be at an all-time low right now. He got hurt. He's now starting to hit. He's hitting like 350 in his last 10 games, but he was really not hitting. He's had his worst defensive season, which has been bizarre, just making bizarre mistakes, taking his hitting into the field. And they're paying him a ton of money. So, like, no one is going to take that contract on with the uncertainty of what's to come in Major League Baseball. When he's not playing as well, you're not going to get anything back for him. So we could just take Lindor and move him aside. So the guys who are definitely going to get traded, you could probably flip Tyrone Taylor for something. He's actually, as a fourth outfielder, not much. He'll get traded. They will definitely trade, or I'm not definitely, will definitely trade Freddie Peralta.
Got to try to move him.
First of all, he's been terrible.
He's unbelievably bad.
So, like,
what is it with these Brewers guys? They just get to New York and they blow up.
I don't know. Jeremy, that goes all the way back to Jeremy Burnitz. You remember Jeremy Burnitz? Oh. That was before your time, you youngin'. So they're going to trade Freddie Peralta for sure. He's been bad. They're not going to get back what they gave up, but he's got an expiring contract. He's not going to be on the team next year. They're going to trade him.
Somebody can use him.
And honestly, people who miss out on other top tier pitchers will probably give up more than he's worth because of what he could be with a change of scenery. And there are rumors that like the Mets could sign him back. No, thank you. Clay Holmes is the interesting one. He's hurt right now, but he was so good when he was pitching for the Mets. He's probably going to opt out of his deal. So it could be a scenario where, again, they trade him and then get him back. There's also been extension talks. It seems like it's more likely he gets traded than extended. But again, it's going to have to see how he's almost back. How is he doing his rehab? All of that stuff. That's going to be a piece to watch. Christian Scott's not going anywhere. David Peterson already got traded.
Luke Weaver's got to go.
Luke Weaver's interesting too because Luke Weaver you can get a lot for, but Luke Weaver has control next year. So Luke Weaver is not a free agent. So him and Brosban are two interesting ones because they're both, obviously Weaver's way better, but Brosban's been really good too. Yeah. And they both have multiple, Weaver has 1 more year, Brosban has 2 more years of control. You'll get more back for them, but you can also say, well, they could factor into our plans. So that's going to be interesting. Brooks Raley, he's expiring, gone. AJ Minter, gone, expiring deal. So it's going to be a fire sale. The other interesting one is Bo Bichette.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you're going to get for Bo Bichette because he's probably going to opt in at this point. He is hitting much better. Not to what his numbers should be, but he was so bad.
Yeah.
He's now at 256, not where you want him, but solid. I would like to see them keep Bo Bichette because I think that he can be a piece going forward. I think that he got off to a really bad start. But I think we've seen what he's capable of. So I would like to see them keep. The other guy who's gone, or not gone, but Luis Robert, I think if he starts to show some flashes before the deadline like he did when he hit a 456 home run in Milwaukee the other night, he's another guy in an expiring deal who it's like, why keep him? Like, you can get rid of him and get something back. Polanco could be a guy. If someone needs a bat, you're not going to, a lot of these guys aren't playing well, so you're not going to get a ton for them.
Sure.
So those are the main guys to watch. Like, could they get rid of some young guys like Mauricio?
Vientos.
What are they going to get back? I would trade Vientos for a bag of Lay's potato chips. I can't watch Mark Vientos play baseball anymore. I'm sorry. Beatty is an interesting one. He's been playing better, but he's still not very good. But he does play multitude of positions. I don't know what his value would be. Jared Young would be an interesting one if someone needs another bat. He's played pretty well this year. Anyone is going to be for sale outside of Benj, Ewing, Lindor,
Big Six.
Soto, Christian Scott, Noah McLean. I think it also sounds like he's not even on the team right now, but Jonah Tong.
Okay.
They're probably not going to trade. And Zach Thornton. Like those guys. anybody, the young guys are not going to be traded. Anybody else, if someone wanted to take Marcus Simeon,
enjoy.
You're going to have him. So that's where the Mets stand. They're in sell mode. I know I basically just told you they could trade anyone. And they also could get a lot back for the catchers because Alvarez has been great. Mm-hmm. And Luis Torrens could be a starting catcher on like
probably the New York
80% of baseball. Like he is not only like, listen, his offensive numbers aren't going to jump out, hitting 228 with 2 home runs, but he's a guy who puts the ball in play, makes things happen, comes up with big hits, and is the best at throwing runners out in all of baseball for qualified catchers. So
about 60 points higher than Austin Wells
right
now.
So like there are a lot of teams, and we got him from the Yankees. So we thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
So there are a lot of guys on this team that could get moved. And if you're the Mets, anybody who can't give you value beyond this year, get rid of, get something back. Because you never know. Sometimes it's the big prospect. Oh, you get this big prospect and he doesn't do anything. And then you look back and you're like, remember when we flipped Tyrone Taylor for like the guy they traded David Peterson for, his first baseman. Like if he turns out to be anything, what a win. Because boy does David Peterson stink. So that's your Mets roundup. Let's go to another team that is struggling.
On the struggle bus.
The Tri-City ValleyCats. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this because, one, we spent a lot of time on those other topics. We really are not going to spend a lot of time on this. Looking at the time. ValleyCats, 3-7 in their last 10 games. Another 3-game losing streak. 16.5 back of first.
Yeah, and the big component is the wild card.
Yeah, and they are what?
9 back of that. The Ottawa Titans, who are there in the series with right now. We're not going to know, obviously, shooting this on Thursday, what's going to happen with the final game of that series. But if they drop another one and fall 10 back of the wild card spot with a little over, maybe a month and a half left, that's a tough hole to dig out of.
They need a Red Sox win streak. We'll be right back. Welcome back. These are going to be quick hitters because we spent a lot of time on baseball. But you know what? It's the summer. We don't have, it's a slower time of the year in sports. We're going to start with the New York Giants. And you're like, oh, it's never good if you're talking about the New York Giants or any football team on July 23rd. We just wanted to mention that it was interesting. Camp Scattaboo Fanatics Fest. Recovering from an ACL.
Guy's nuts.
And he does a backflip and doesn't land it, lands on his butt. Now, he seemed to be okay.
Fortunately, he's an athletic freak.
If you're a Giants fan, you don't want to see your running back recovering from an ACL injury who plays a physical brand of football flipping.
Not typically, unless he's doing it in the end zone. Even then,
I'd
so
rather.
Scary.
Oh, if he's back, I will be like, please don't flip. But if you flip, fine. But before the season, no flipping. If I was an NFL GM, I would institute a no flipping rule in the contract. It would say no flipping off the field. I might even put it on the field. No flipping. Nobody flips unless it's maybe in the field of play. If you could flip over somebody, that would constitute a legal flip in my legal document. So there's that. The other part was they welcomed in their rookies, and John Harbaugh. We were going to play it in here, but we don't have a lot of time. Go look it up on Twitter. You can find it. I think it was on the Giants page.
Literally punching John Harbaugh.
Did not give the most inspiring of speeches. I think he said, we're the New York Giants 484 times, I counted.
I think that is an official tally.
I think that was an official tally. At one point, he was like, here we are, sitting in your seats. And
yes.
It was very funny.
It was.
I will say, if you're a Giants fan, how many times, you know who gave great clips and great press conferences? Joe Judge. How did that work out? Don't be worried. It's not, John Harbaugh has a resume that says, I will do my coaching don't worry about me.
If anything, he's excited to be there, clearly.
He's excited to be
there.
there.
We'll take that as a win, I guess.
So he's excited to be there. And listen, he's a great football coach. So it's a clip. Bill Belichick didn't give a lot of great clips, and he won Super Bowls. So that's your Giants recap. Albany football, again, another quick one because we don't have much to go on here.
Yeah, we don't know much about them yet, but CAA media availability or media day was on Wednesday, and I liked a lot what first-year head coach Tom Perkovich said. He seemed very realistic about the team, loves what he's seen in the offseason so far, said they've been attacking each day, which you always love to see and they have good camaraderie, which is great to hear, given that they have almost, not an entirely new roster, but a very overhauled roster. And he was very realistic. He's like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we're going to win a conference championship, but we're going to be competitive. We're going to start building to that. We're just going to move the needle every day. And that's what you want to hear. It's a realistic expectation, and he's excited about this team, and that's what you want right now.
The transfer portal is hard enough. It's difficult enough for teams to navigate, but especially when you're coming in your first year at a program, it's always going to be tough. The biggest thing is instilling your culture.
Yep.
It's without the transfer portal, it's how I look at the Dolphins this year with Jeff Hafley, Siena grad. It's like the Dolphins don't have a lot of talent. Not saying that about Albany. I'm just saying the expectations are low.
Yeah.
What you want to see as a fan is a coach that instills culture. They're not going to make silly mistakes. They're going to do things the right way.
Just be competitive.
And be competitive and, do all the little things. They're picked to finish 11th. But again, you can basically take those and throw them in the garbage because preseason rankings, any coach will tell you they mean nothing. And
we have an entirely new team nobody knows anything about.
Especially in college football. It's just like, when you're looking at, the CAA, who knows? Who knows?
It's just exciting training camp, July 30th.
And then a touching one here. Just wanted to quickly mention that the Hall of Fame class for Albany Athletics came out for the class of 2026, and Liam Gleason, fittingly and deservingly, will be entered into the Albany Hall of Fame. Of course, Liam, tragically passed away in December while he was the head coach lacrosse of Siena. And we've seen how the community's rallied around him and the impact that he's had on the area, the lacrosse world at large. So Albany, it's not just Albany, but this is a very fitting honor for someone who played there, who was assistant coach there for 6 years, from 2012 to 2018. So a fitting and touching honor, and that'll be, I'm sure, an awesome day to see him, officially go into
and well-deserved. His Albany resume is impressive. Not only a good
player
player in 2006 and 2007, 6 straight NCAA tournament appearances when he was a defensive assistant coach under Scott Marr. I mean, he has the resume to match it.
Unbelievable. So, very deserving honor. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We've talked about Bridget Duffy many times on this program.
Deservedly so.
Deservedly so. It's a Bridget Duffy alert. Obviously, if you're not familiar, went to Queensbury, starred at soccer, lacrosse, then played lacrosse and soccer at Army, was the best player on both of those teams, and is now in the Women's Lacrosse League. And in her last game, she had 10 points. And still, that's not one of the most impressive things she's doing this week.
And then a few days later, she got on a plane, headed for Tokyo, and is going to be playing for the U.S. women's lacrosse team at the World Lacrosse Championships.
Not bad.
The year of Bridget Duffy continues.
The life of Bridget Duffy continues. So they're playing that. I know you've been following this story.
This weekend they'll start pool play, and then it'll be a couple of weeks, championships in Tokyo. Going to be shooting for another gold medal. She's already got one from when she played for the U20 team, and now this is the U.S. team.
The U.S. team. They're going to have a great chance to win. I feel like that's
They've won 5 in a row,
that's what they do.
Yeah.
I think it usually comes down to them in Canada.
Right around. Yep, those two.
Yeah, so those are the two big teams, but U.S. this is what we do.
Yeah,
we win titles in lacrosse. Who needs soccer? Bridget Duffy, she was great at it. And then we'll wrap up quickly with What's Next, which is a segment that we started doing a couple years ago. It was Tommy Valentine brainchild, where we highlight a local athlete that's graduating to show what's next. So talk a little bit about who we had this week.
Yeah, so this past week we had Brady Mills, phenomenal catcher for Saratoga Springs, won a state championship, going to William and Mary. And we got a really cool one coming up on Monday. It's going to be Dane Coates, state champion basketball player, who will be playing football at HVCC. So doing a pretty cool switch. And we'll be talking to him, hearing about that. So should be a good one on Monday.
You're going to have to tune in Monday. We went 10 for 10. We'll see you next week.